Anorexia is the third most common long-term illness among teenagers. Teen and young adults between the ages of 12 and 26 make up 95% of those who have eating disorders. Anorexia is the most common cause of death, up to 12 times higher than any other condition among young women ages 15 to 24. This is according to the Futures website of palmbeach.com. And with me today is a great counselor, Mary Lisa, who has fully experienced it. And as I have had an eating disorder myself for 17 years, I know going back that where it starts is where the seed is planted. But the cool thing about it is that that can be changed. And that is why we want you to get to know Mary Lisa today. Mary Lisa, welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you had a seed that started when you were in your senior year of high school. Mm-hmm. Your mom passed away. And
when I was 14, yes.
When you were 14. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Well, at that time I was really distracted because I had come from a private school to a public school, and I was a cheerleader, and I started dating, and I was in the school play. I just got a lot of attention and just kind of going on with life. So it kind of just, I didn't grieve it at that time. I mean, I was sad. I didn't see her in the hospital, but I just had a lot of distractions at that time, so I didn't grieve it at that time.
You didn't sink it in as much.
Yeah.
What was wrong with your mom?
After my sister was born, she became mentally ill, and they didn't have all the counselors and programs and medications they have today to help. So it just kind of got worse for her, and then eventually she kind of used drugs to numb her pain, and was a victim of sex trafficking, and she was in an accident that I think brought her home to the Lord, because she knew God, but she was in a lot of pain and couldn't take anymore. So I think it was just time for her to go, and so she was in a car accident and then went to be with the Lord, I think about a week later.
That explains it. That explains it, why you weren't as connected. Because your mom was your mom, but yet it wasn't like that mothership you had probably been looking at, not because she didn't want to, but she was not capable at that point.
She wasn't available.
Yeah. That must have been, and at that time you just cope, you probably aren't even aware.
Yeah.
So who became your mom during that time? Was it more your friends you expected to take that role over? What was that?
I think my dad did a really good job raising us growing up, and we were surrounded by a lot of women. I mean, he was involved in the church, and just had good women in our lives. So I think that was helpful for a time, and then I think when I got older, I kind of saw myself like push away, because I was like kind of jealous that I didn't have that, and then I kind of felt like unworthy, like of that love, because I didn't have that. And it was interesting because later on in my story, how God showed me that love in different ways that He can only show me, and He can only continue to. But I'm so grateful to have always, I think, at some point or another, have women in my life and
to help you. Yeah, I'm gonna go there a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, but here you are. You're now in your senior year. You rely. Most teens rely on their family or their friends a lot. And then, of course, usually I assume, did your dad remarry at that same time?
Yeah, he remarried when I was 16. This was right before my senior year. And I think I had certain expectations. I didn't have someone who was emotionally available. I didn't really know what to expect, but then part of me had some expectations. Like,
what were they?
Well, now she's going to come fill this role, This lady I didn't know very well, and we were all teenagers, and someone I was going to be able to do stuff with, and I think her going with my dad, and he was a pastor and everything like that, that there was a lot of pressure maybe, and she had a different background and a story, and she wanted to be sensitive to my needs too. It was hard on her part as well, coming in being a stepmom, now that I look back.
Now, did she have her own children at the time?
She had one daughter.
Okay.
Who was, just one daughter, only child, only grandchild.
So let me put this together because
Okay.
I'm learning all kinds of stuff right
Okay.
here now. So your father is a pastor.
Yeah.
You have had a mentally disabled mom,
Yes.
basically, that was struggling with issues,
Yeah.
that died in a car accident.
Uh-huh.
And then on top of that, a stepmom comes in, and usually what happens that the children don't want it.
Yeah.
But you did, and then she has to fill in that role. How did she do?
Well, I don't think she knew what to do either, and she didn't give me what I thought I wanted from her. She didn't meet those expectations for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, that I thought that she should meet.
You wanted to be loved unconditionally.
Yes.
All your needs needed to be met.
Yes.
She was supposed to be your best friend.
Yeah.
I'm just reading as a teen feels,
Yeah.
right? All that stuff. That fails, then where do you turn instead?
Well, I think something that happened along the way was a mother's there a lot of times to be like, tell you you're okay. I wanted someone to tell me I was okay, right? And when you don't have that, what do I look for? I start looking on outward things, people. I didn't get some events happened my senior year with my friends, and so I didn't have them anymore. So I was on my own, and I started isolating, and I started just not feeling worthy of love, and got depressed because my boyfriend we broke up. He was my high school sweetheart. So he did give me some of that attention for a while, but then he wasn't there anymore either. And so I didn't feel free to express myself either, because I think moms teach us how to express ourselves. And so I kind of held everything inside, and I just kind of shut down inside.
Wow, and that usually will ripple. But at the same time,
Yeah.
you knew God. You already knew
Yeah.
God in your life. He was part of you. Were you able to bring any of that to God and give it over to them, or you were just not ready for that?
Well, I think at first I didn't understand. I was like, why me? Why is this happening? Why is everything falling apart? What did I do wrong? I started taking it personal. I thought it was me. So I think that was what it was for a while. And then I thought my relationship all of a sudden became about rules, like a religion. And I was like, man, I don't have it together. And if this is what it is to be a Christian, forget this.
Don't want that.
Yeah. And so I stopped going to church for a while, and I was really in the eating disorder, very bad, just in a very dark place, believing the lies of like that I was unloved, unworthy. I messed up too bad. It was interesting because I feel like I didn't fit in the church, but then I didn't feel like I didn't fit in the world.
You wouldn't.
Yeah.
That would be, especially if you have a praying dad, you would not fit in at all. So your solution is like usually, what I had with my eating disorder at the time, that it was one word from one boyfriend that said, you have a belly. That's all I needed.
Oh, wow.
That was it. One word. And there was, of course, some background before that that was already seeded and planned for that. So this was probably you as well. What was that first word that just triggered it?
Well, I'll actually remember that. My senior year, I was a cheerleader. Me and my friend were captains of the cheer squad, and I went into it was the spring after the football season was over, and I went to the gym with all the cheerleaders, and I looked at all the freshman cheerleaders, and I looked at them, and I looked at me, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm fat. And I remember I felt sick to my stomach, and I asked my cheer coach if I could go home. I get in my car, and I looked at myself, I looked at my thighs, and I was like, oh my gosh, you are so fat. You have to lose weight.
There. Hold it right there.
Yeah.
And I can relate with that. And
Yeah.
I'm sure you want to know what she has to say next. Stay tuned. We're starting a brand new series, and it is all about living in the presence of God. Did you know that God wants to talk to you every single day? Do you realize that fear is not of God, the fear that you're afraid of everything around in your life? And do you get it that you don't have to live in a struggle every day, not in a survival mode, but that you can thrive and live a fulfilling life that makes a difference for you, for your family, and also for those around you? When you start listening to God, is what I want you to get to do, because once you get it, you start living, you start serving, and you will love your life in a way like never ever before. Go to us, 855-515-5550 or barbtv.org. God loves you. Get to know Him. Binging or not eating are ways to take controls, and addictions are just like abusing drugs or being an alcoholic. Those in it get stuck in a vicious cycle. Is there hope? Is there a way that you actually can change that? And with me right now is Mary Lisa, and it all started so simple by just looking at another cheerleader. You thought your thighs were fat.
Yes.
How did you go from there?
Well, I was like, I need to lose weight. And, I was already depressed because these situations that had happened in high school and losing my boyfriend and other things happening with friends. And I just started running around the pool and skipping meals and lying about dinner. And
how much pounds did you lose that first week?
I don't remember. I don't remember that
lost
first
about 10.
week. Oh, wow.
Just like that. And it was
yeah.
fun because I was in control. It was fun.
Yeah.
I got to say what was
Yeah.
going to happen now in somebody else. And then it starts taking over.
Yeah.
Did you experience any of that?
Oh, yeah. It was like this great feeling for a while. And I did lose a lot of weight very quickly.
Yeah.
Probably 20 pounds, I think.
Yeah.
And I did feel in control. I was very much hurting inside, though. And I was just like, oh, maybe this is a relief. It was a relief. For my situation.
Right.
Just like I feel like maybe like a drug addict, they get high and it's like a high, And so I did all those crazy things we do, and then I think for a while I couldn't control it anymore because my body's starving,
Yeah.
So then I start, doing other things with food or, other crazy things, and it just kind of got crazier from there as
Give
far
me some
as my
examples of that.
So I started, abusing laxatives.
I did. I
yeah.
did that too.
Dieting, I would try to find all types of every diet that I could, find. I started having health problems later on. I was bleeding inside my intestines and had this. I was going to different doctors, but it was because of what I was doing to my body.
Yeah.
I had a colonoscopy at a young age because of that.
Wow. So how long? How long were you in that finally you realized, shoot, I have a problem? How long
Well,
did
I
that take?
was, first I was in a lot of denial. I was confronted by my dad and his wife, and I was I'm fine, I'm just eating healthy, And then, when I couldn't control anymore. I got to a place where I really didn't really want to be alive anymore because I was so miserable. And, and then I think over time I felt like I did get a little better, but it got worse. But the whole process was about 8.5 years. I was in that bondage.
And it is heavy, it controls you, it takes over.
Yeah.
So then, I don't know what you were thinking.
Yeah.
I think God was part of it. You start working for an organization that actually tries to help those people. What was that like? Did you hide it from them, or?
Well, I always had a heart for women, and I think part of it too is God uses our stories. And I knew I was going to help women overcome alcohol and drugs. I was going to become a drug and alcohol counselor. And it was good. However, at the beginning, I started realizing I was like, I'm just like them. I'm no different. And me compared to me, I do those things with my food, and they do it with drugs. And people in society is like, oh, food is just food. But I wasn't using it in the way that God intended it to be used. And I was abusing it and doing all that stuff. So I really was no different. I felt like...
Did they notice? Did they notice at your work that you were just like them, or they didn't? They had no idea?
Well, not really, because maybe they did. Maybe they thought that I struggled with my food, but they didn't they didn't think it was serious like drugs and alcohol, because food's more socially acceptable. But me compared to me, I thought I was like, I'm just like one of them. I'm a hypocrite. I can't do this because I'm just like one of them.
And that is God already talking to you.
Yeah.
That is the Holy Spirit working through you.
Yeah.
So once you realize that, usually what happens, you cry out for help.
Yeah.
What was the help that you cry out to? How did that go?
Well, I started, this actually broke my denial. A lot of it broke my denial. God used it. And I think, when we're overcoming addiction, we need to get honest. And that's something that I always help the women that I help with, is getting honest, because that's where it starts. Because when we have our addiction, we love it. It helps us for so long, And so I had to get honest that I wanted God's help, but at the same time, I didn't know what it was like to live without the eating disorder. So my prayer started getting I want to love you more than this. It was like, you get me out of this, because I felt like it had such a grasp on me. And then it was finally one day, just after prayer and trying different ways to help, and I was definitely reaching out for help along the way. I just didn't know. I was so confused. And what the solution was, and how to have a healthy relationship with food, because you have to have it, Right. And it's really about control too at the end of the day.
So tell me that
Okay.
key day, that key switch. What was that?
So I was, I've been praying all along, and I was in Starbucks. I always go to Starbucks and just would have time in the morning and journal and stuff before I went to work. And I just felt I realized I was I'm such a hypocrite. I don't want to put on a facade anymore. I'm just tired. I'm just sick and tired of being tired. And if I never get married, if this never happens, whatever. If I lose my job, so be it. So I surrendered that morning, and I asked for God's help, and I felt like it left me. I had binged really bad the night before. I went into work that morning, and I told my supervisor.
Was she shocked?
Well, she's like, well, I thought you were getting help. And I said, no, I'm still struggling. And she said, well, this woman had 27 years of sobriety at the time. And she said, well, thank you for all your service and taking care of our gals. Now it's time to take care of you.
Oh, that gives me gut bumps.
I know.
Because that is change.
Yeah.
And it's big, and it is hard.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
And she just basically wrapped me up in arms of love and just said, you go home, you take care of yourself. I was scholarshiped. My work scholarshiped me to a treatment program in Arizona for 6 weeks.
God gave you help exactly the way you needed. And I love it when God does it His way, because it is so different and so unique. And here you are today. And I want to ask you what you're doing today and where you're at now. But before we do that, stay tuned. You want to hear this? We'll be right back.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Barb TV, where there's no phony baloney Christianity here. Just authentic stories of real lives transformed with a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Join us each week as Barb has another guest who shares their testimony about what their life is like now and where it began. Follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/BarbTV.
There are many that have questions, spiritual questions, and would like to have the answers to that. And we have created something for you specifically, barbtv.org, God Questions. Addictions are real and addictions happen. And one of the movies that I always got a kick out of was Sandra Bullock with, 39 days or something like that, that you actually go into that rehab and you're looking at it and you see that they have to overcome and the choices that have to be made. And with me right now is Mary Lisa, who had to go into a rehab, who had to go get help. So you were in there, you arrived there. What was it like? Because it's usually locked down in the first part of it.
Yeah. So I had no idea where I was going, and I kind of just wanted to leave it at that, because I wanted to let go of control. I wanted to let go of all control and just be open to whatever God had. And I remember, it was in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, in a little small...
That's smart.
Yeah.
That's good.
area. I remember even they served me my first meal, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much food. But I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And when they took me to my doctor's appointment, I'll never forget how I had this really strong urge to binge. And I realized at that moment that if I chose to do that, the only person I would be abandoning is myself. Because I was in the middle of nowhere, I could talk to no one was with me. I already in a sense, have been abandoned. But if I chose that in that moment, I would be abandoning myself. And that was a very important turning moment
Very much
in my treatment process.
How long were you in the recovery process?
So I told I was going to be there for 30 days, but I ended up staying 6 weeks, and that's usually what happens, you know.
That's still pretty fast.
Yeah.
It took me 2 years to overcome. That is
wow.
fast.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
fast.
Yeah. So I was there for 6 weeks, and then I actually got to go back to work, and I think it was a neat opportunity to be on both sides of treatment and to really understand what these women were going through when they were coming to treatment.
Do you believe that gave you more compassion for the people and an understanding of where they were and the help that they needed?
Oh, absolutely. I think I was better able to be of service when I came back, so I was really grateful for that.
Now today you're involved with Beloved Recovery.
Yes.
Something huge. What is it? What are we talking about here?
So basically, we're just a program to help women with addictions, you know, to believe their belovedness despite their brokenness. You know, that's kind of our mission. You know, that you haven't screwed up too far, you know, fallen too far to be able to be worthy of a new life and of love and of good things. And I think even particularly we want to be there to help women when they maybe struggle with their image or their relationship with the higher power or God, you know, and try to heal that as well. So, yeah.
Oh, what was the biggest gift that God gave you through this journey?
Well, I think it's a gift that He keeps on giving me. And it's to trust Him that I am His beloved and He has me every step of the way. And I just have to continue to just be in His presence and you know, rely on Him and be open to what He has. I mean, basically, it's just being open to the process of recovery, you know, and not try to take back control or, you know, manipulate things. But He's a good God, and that's what He continues to show me throughout my whole journey.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, I remember with me when I finally was able to break free because the scriptures and crying out to God, help me. I cannot do this on my own. I just am not capable. And then finally I was 3 weeks free. It was clean. Even if the urge was there, I was clean, and I wanted so badly to be free, you know.
Yeah.
And of course I blew it, you know, and I go back to the counselor, which I think I no longer needed. And I walk in there and she looks at me and says, "Why is your head down?" And I'm like, "I blew it." And she says, I relapsed. I know better, and I relapsed. And she looked at me and she says, "Barbara, how long did it take you the first time to tell me you had a problem?" And that made me even feel worse. 17 years.
Yeah.
And she says, "How long did it take you this time?" And I said, 3 weeks. And she congratulated me that I was on the right path of recovery. And that meant the world to me. So she helped me a lot. You are now a counselor. You are working hard to help people. God has used what was a problem, a disappointment, a struggle in your life now to help other people. What do you think it is that they need the most if they're right now in that addiction and they're stuck?
Well, I think that there is a way out. I mean, that there is recovery, and that it may be difficult in the beginning, but like hang in there until the miracle happens. Like it will happen. I think it's also someone there to, there's so much shame in addiction that they can be honest with and walk alongside, kind of like how you said, like, I screw up, but someone who wasn't going to judge you and be like, well, you know what, then you need to leave now.
Exactly.
You know, but that you can be like, okay, it's okay, you've come this far, let's keep going on this journey, you know. And so, I mean, I think that's what's really important, to, you know, have someone kind of walk alongside you who's been there, who understands, and all the choices that we make when we're in our addictions.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. So it's a great joy to have you on the show. Now, if people would like to get to, you know, to see where you're at, find out more about Beloved Recovery, they want help, they're hungry, where can they go?
So our website is www.belovedrecovery.com. So they can go to our website, and we have, you know, services there.
And if that would be me right now, if I was in the spot where I used to be, it would be hard for me to even make the call
Sure.
to do that because it's scary for some
Yeah.
reason, because you feel they're going to take your best friend, your addiction away, which is actually killing you.
Right.
That's really what is happening. So what would happen if they would contact you? What actually are the first steps that you do? That's something I would want to know.
Yeah, well, we usually do like a consultation, you know, a 15-minute consultation, you know, kind of just how we can help you, what do you need, and these are our services. And then after that, they can follow up with an assessment and come talk to us. And I just like to have a conversation. I kind of tell some of them, we're just having a conversation, that's it.
Which it is.
It's confidential,
You
you
were
know.
there, yeah.
So, you know, that's what I would recommend. And if they're not ready for that, just to keep asking,
Help them.
praying and asking
Yeah.
for help, and like God's gonna, I believe, open up a door as they continue to ask for help. Yeah.
Mary Lisa, you have a gift that God has
thank
given
you.
you. Keep using it, keep sharing it, and make a difference for His kingdom by helping people to be set free. I want to
Thank
give you my
you.
book, Ransomed, Loving Yourself from the Inside Out. And
Thank
you
you.
so much
Thank you for having me.
for coming to the show. And there's a famous Bible verse in the Bible that I always read many, many times and never saw it this way till I met Mary Lisa. And it's in 2 Chronicles 7:14 when the Lord pointed this out to me. And I want to share it with you, so I'm excited about you, and I think it will help you too. And this is what it says. And my people who are called by my name humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, will forgive their sin, and will heal their land. And really quick, the first part, and my people who are called by my name humble themselves, no longer are in denial, realize there is a problem, surrender it over, know they need God's help, and pray and seek his face, which is seeking the presence of God. Mary Lisa did that in the rehab. And then it goes from there, and turn from their wicked ways. You first seek His presence, and then God will help you to make that change. You are not on your own. And it goes from there. What will happen then? God says, I will hear from heaven. He hears you. He hears your problems. He hears your situation. And He will forgive your sin and will heal your lands. We want to help you and encourage you. 855-515-5550, or go to our website, barbtv.org, because God believes in you so much. He's not going to leave you where you're at, but He's going to teach you, like Mary Lisa, that you can have a smile on your face and say, I am free. And that includes you. Next show, do you believe in miracles? Do you believe that miracles do happen today? Do you long to hear God's voice and have Him speak clearly to you every day? My guest next week experienced these things and actually has shown, and God has used them to even do miracles with people through His strength. You want to hear this? And the question is, does God have a miracle for you? God loves you, and so do I. See you next week.